Thank you so much for sticking with us on Awareness. Today we are talking to Living Black History, our very own Rick Henry, who is the first black sports director for a television station in South Carolina. Before the break, we were talking about your career at WPDE in Florence. This was in the early 80s. That's where you were actually named sports director. And you were facing some challenges even then, even after having that title as a black man in the broadcast industry. Rick, what made you want to keep going? Because if you were being denied access to coverage and, you know, feeling like you were being left out because of the color of your skin, why did you not say, this isn't for me, this is too much, I don't want to do it?
Because of all the challenges I'd faced in my life. I remember integration in the first year that I attended McBee High School. And the first test I took, it was a science test. And the teacher's giving back the papers. And he said, hey, there was one perfect paper in the class, and it's James Henry. And my white classmates, they're looking around going, James Henry, who's that? You know, and it gave me a great deal of satisfaction when the teacher handed me my paper.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't hold any ill will against my white classmates because, you know, that's what they grew up hearing, that black folks could not excel, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the classroom. And then I went on to become valedictorian. And I had people tell me that maybe you should go to a small school, you know, a small college because you're from a small town.
Wow.
You know, but I wanted to go to the University of South Carolina. Then people would tell me, you know, when I told them I wanted to be a sportscaster, maybe you need to go out of state to do that. So all my life, I was hearing that. But my mother always instilled in me this message: you're as good as anyone else. You know, and then the lesson she taught me about 8th grade English, never to be complacent. And even when you've done your best, you can always do better. So, you know, these challenges that I had to face early in my career, that was nothing because I was just so overjoyed that I was getting the opportunity.
Yeah.
And nobody was going to knock me off track. Let me tell you another story. When I was in Florence, I spoke like at a 5th grade, 6th grade graduation. And in that speech, you know, well, basically, I was sharing my life and, you know, some of my challenges. And the overall message was, just because you're a small town, or maybe because of the color of your skin, don't let that, you know, keep you from chasing your dreams.
Absolutely.
Okay, and like in it, I referenced Martin Luther King, Larry Bird, even a Gomer Pyle reference. So when the ceremony was over, I had this white mother come up to me and said, Rick, maybe next time you can say something for the white kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, someone even called our general manager and said, you know, they wanted me fired, said we have video of the speech, you know, Rick Henry gave. So the GM wanted to see the speech.
Yeah.
I gave him the speech. He said, I thought it was a great speech.
Wow.
You know, so,
It's
you know, just
dirt off
some of
your
the challenges.
shoulder. Yeah.
And it, you know, it just slides right off my back.
You don't pay. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick.
No, it doesn't, you know, and, you know, sometimes I hear stuff. You know, I can tell you about some of the phone messages that people left me. Like there's this one guy who used to call, and I figured out he would always call when I was on the air.
Uh-huh.
You know, and like one day I think I picked up, and it was him. He hung up.
Wow.
You know, I call these people, you know, these, especially now on the day of the internet, you know, these keyboard cowboys. You know, they'll say all this stuff when they don't have to face you.
Right, but what they do face is your face on TV every day for over 30 years, really over 40 years if you count your entire broadcast career. You're an award-winning journalist, award-winning sports broadcaster who has covered everything from the Olympics, the bombings back in the 90s in Atlanta, the championship games for the Gamecocks and Clemson. What has been the highlight, though, Rick, of your career?
Billie Jean, there are so many. I mean, so many, because like you said, I've covered some of the world's biggest sporting events, and it's hard for me to pick just one.
Yeah, my list was very, very condensed. Just for time, we could take up the whole 30 minutes just talking about Rick's achievements, but it's hard to pinpoint one.
Well, I have to look at my career as a whole, and just the fact that I've been able to do what I'm doing and to be blessed to do it for so long. And I constantly think about my grandparents and my mother. You know, my grandparents sent all 8 of their kids to Mather Academy in Camden because there wasn't a black high school in McBee when they were growing up. And if they hadn't done that, you know, the course of my life could be entirely different. So I feel a closer connection to them, even though they've been gone for many years, and also my mother. So the fact that I've been put in this position, I take it as a whole.
Wow.
And sometimes I think, wow.
To the next upcoming black sports broadcaster out there, watching you, feeling inspired, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't try to be anybody else. Be yourself, because you see a lot of people, they want to try to copy someone else. Be yourself, and don't let the word no affect you. You know, you'll get turned down for jobs. Some people may not like your ideas, but just stay true to yourself and just keep fighting, work hard, and be confident.
Wow.
Be confident.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first black sports director for a television station in South Carolina, our very own Rick Henry, living black history right here in the Midlands. When we come back, much more awareness.